Say goodbye to Lando Norris in the opening 200 metres, but it's 800 metres down to turn one, and the Ferraris are very close. Lewis Hamilton pinched to the inside. Hamilton tried to attack. Watch Max Verstappen, who's on the outside, who's locking up, who's going deep and off the road. On the racetrack, Lando Norris keeps the lead. It was a wild start to this one as they reclaim the lead. Over the road went Max Verstappen, over the road went Charles Leclerc. How are they going to sort that one out? It's Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton and Verstappen.
Piastri's lost 4 positions. There he goes. He's behind Tsunoda. The championship leader is down to 11th position.
We were looking at the 4-wide battle at the front. We've seen 3-wide before, but never 4. It's Lando Norris who leads. Then it's Charles Leclerc. He also went off the road. Lewis Hamilton is third. Up a place is Max Verstappen. Down a position is George Russell. Ollie Behrman made it up to P6. That's up 3. And the championship leader's horrible weekend has had another setback. P9 as we go on to lap number 2.
He needed to be on the charge early on. Instead, it's a disastrous start from Piastri, and now he's got his work cut out to come through. He's actually back into 9th position, so maybe that was with a few of the cars cutting early on, and now he's managed to gain a couple of those places back. Still down.
At least a penalty will give the position back.
Right, I think Max was ahead of George though. I think they've ended up roughly in the order that they were going into that first corner. Russell claiming to the stewards, we'll wait for a replay of it, but it did seem like Max was part of the 4-wide gaggle on the outside of it and has slipped back into 4th where he would naturally be.
Everyone getting into a rhythm. A reminder for you, the top 3 have soft tyres on the car. The more durable mediums are bolted on to the reigning world champions Red Bull. Really intrigued to have another look at the turn 1 incident that has been noted by race control.
Ollie Behrman also with a flying start up to 6th position, so he's made the absolute most of the chaos at the start. Long run, good slipstreaming opportunities. Really well managed, you have to say, by Norris. Got to the inside, got the initial traction, had that new soft tyre, and then it is difficult to pick your braking point from the dirty part as well. You could see the dust flicking up off his tyres as he was heading down on the white line to the first corner, but he made it through cleanly.
Fastest lap of the race goes to Charles Leclerc. He's milliseconds quicker than Lando Norris in the lead. 1.4 seconds the gap between the two of them. Further back as well, Isaac Hadjar lost 3 places. Esteban Ocon was able to climb into the points. That's the state of the top 10 at the moment. Piastri knows how to put together a recovery drive around here. He did so last year when he came through from the back. Liam Lawson finds himself getting a new nose after contact on the opening turn.
Tsunoda also on the mediums. In these very early laps, that will be a disadvantage. Soon it will become more of an advantage as the soft tyre goes away. To see some graining on the tyres, the rubber moves around. It was a real problem for them on the long runs on Friday. As it stands, Norris looking comfortable. Verstappen and Tsunoda, the 2 Red Bulls, playing the long game. Verstappen at least has cleared Russell.
There's a yellow flag at the first couple of turns on the racetrack. I wonder if we've got debris down there after the melee that was the opening couple of corners of this Grand Prix. Russell is not happy with Max Verstappen, and he's talking about the tactics used at the start of the Grand Prix. We've got to see a replay to work out what went down there. It was a dramatic start. We built it up for you. It delivered, but crucially for Lando Norris, who has been under scrutiny in the past 3 starts, he got the track position. Every team principal in the paddock at the start of the race was talking about how useful running in clear air would be, and Norris could measure his race as Piastri tries to recover one of the positions that he lost a couple of them off the line.
He's going to have to get a bit braver than that at some point. Bounces over the curb through the apex of 2. He's been struggling for traction so far this weekend, and he's struggling with the fact that Tsunoda also has DRS at this moment in time. Tsunoda not being dropped by Antonelli ahead. Behrman's still there, but within DRS of Russell, who is not happy, is he? We've only got a pair of eyes each, and there were cars everywhere on the run down to the first corner, so trying to spot 4 wide at 200 miles per hour and then see where George Russell was somewhere in the mix as well. I can understand for Russell if he thinks that Verstappen has only got 4 wide by missing his brake point and doing a overly ambitious, never going to work move around the outside. We will wait and see for the replay. It did feel like Verstappen was there before the braking point.
We'll get the start replays to you in a moment. For Oscar Piastri, just about looking after his own race now. He's not been able to do what Lando Norris can around this low grip surface in Mexico City. He's not been able to do that. Norris checking the left-hand mirror to see where Charles Leclerc is. He's 1.8 seconds behind. We're on lap 5. Lando Norris has the fastest lap of the race, 71 on the board, the 20th Grand Prix of the year.
Tsunoda feeling heat from Piastri. He was in the slipstream. Tsunoda still has the DRS to defend. And the slipstream is not that effective around this circuit. The air is thin, the drag is low, and for that reason the slipstream is also low.
Okay, here we go, back to the start of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris getting a great reaction time, the slipstreaming beginning behind.
Russell's launch was tremendous, and now he's going backwards, so Verstappen's already through. Verstappen's ahead of Russell, isn't he? He's ahead of Russell. That's not going to be a reversal of the positions. So Piastri goes in wide, that's where he loses the place to Behrman, and then I think he loses the places momentarily because other drivers cut across and looked like he was out of the top 10, but he's back into 9th position. Just got wide though.
This is Lewis Hamilton, started from 3rd, immediately into the teammate slipstream. Now, I thought this got very, very tight on the inside. Let's see what it... No, Charles Leclerc, very, very clever with how he positioned the car. There was enough room just into the first turn.
To say, Leclerc was quite kind to Lewis to allow him the space to fit in between Lando Norris. Who at this point,
crazy. Look at that. Barely keeps it out of the wall. He was braking on the curb. Car fat with fuel at the start of the Grand Prix.
He's coming past Hamilton on the inside at the moment.
Oh, that's side by side, the two old rivals. Verstappen trying to get by and no room. Hamilton will try and claim the place back. George Russell trying to go past Lewis Hamilton. And this is a battle for 3rd position. Max Verstappen has P3 for the moment. Hamilton locking up and going off and having to take the escape road. And the dreams of that podium are disappearing at the moment. He'll just carry on. And Behrman's getting to the inside. Incredible run here. What a melee. What a story. Hamilton's in 3rd. Oliver Behrman. Max Verstappen is the room. And there is this year. Off the road goes Behrman. What is going on in Mexico City? Max Verstappen driving it like a shopping trolley at the moment. He thought he had P3 into turn 1. Has he got a problem?
There was contact, I think, between Verstappen and Hamilton, and I wonder if there is damage on the Red Bull. Behrman snuck through, Russell was forced off at turn 5, Hamilton's now up the road by a mile. This is like a go-kart race in Formula 1.
This is absolutely incredible. Oliver Behrman is now up 5 places. Some of the biggest names in Formula 1 history scrapping away, and a full season rookie up to 4th position. Verstappen 0.8 of a second back on the medium tyre. He's nowhere near him at the moment. Antonelli got past Russell, and as you can see, as it stands, we have a new championship leader. But as the last couple of corners showed us, there is a long way to go. Hamilton was passed, I think he'll believe, off the road. He then went on over the road at turn 4. There is so much to sort out. Here's how it begun down to turn 1.
So it's a good attempt from Verstappen at turn 1. Hamilton turns in and initiates a bit of contact. They run through turn 2. Hamilton rejoining from off the road there. Then Verstappen scampering off the road. This was a decent attempt. It's not that late on the brakes, but he rolls the speed into the apex. He's alongside at the apex. He is carrying a lot of speed in there, Max. Forces Lewis wide. There's a bit of contact as Hamilton's still trying to turn into the corner. So Hamilton's ending up off at turn 1. Verstappen is off, cutting through turn 3.
Now this is down to turn number 4. Verstappen on the inside. Hamilton locks up, and then over the road he goes. Meanwhile, Verstappen and Russell, they're scrapping, and Behrman says, yeah, I'll take that open door and improve up to the top 4 in the Grand Prix.
Hamilton blatantly cut the corner there and has kept the place, but Verstappen also went off the road in defence, so that'll be Hamilton's argument. It's a bit like the Norris-Verstappen incident from Austin last year, and that'll be a big load of incidents for the stewards to look at. Russell was then forced off by Verstappen. Verstappen now has a chance behind Behrman, but he's not able to make it through on the brakes this time around. Behrman, simply opportunistic, down the inside at 6, dangling a nose there, knows that Verstappen can't afford to tangle with a pass in this race, so he's cautious. Piastri now has a chance to pass Tsunoda. This is a good chance.
Look further back, orange McLaren up against the navy Red Bull, not much between them. and that's cautious from Piastri. He knows he can't afford to lose a wing or a wheel here, and he's still behind the second Red Bull in the race.
It's between a rock and a hard place, late on the brakes, but Tsunoda just rolled the speed off, rolled the brakes, carried the speed into the apex, and it was a Verstappen-esque defence in the end from Yuki Tsunoda. Sergio Perez-esque defence against the championship leader.
Amazing couple of corners. All began with Hamilton versus Verstappen at turn number 1. Hamilton has been noted for failing to rejoin via the escape road and cutting the corner. So they will look at that one. If they believe he gained an advantage, it could be an incoming penalty. He is now under investigation for exactly that. That was wild. We saw it last year. It was wild last year between Norris and Verstappen, but multiple cars this year. We have a retirement. Liam Lawson is out of the race. We saw him pitting after lap 1. He's gone no further.
I think the fact that Hamilton's 2 seconds clear of this pack now makes it look pretty blatant from him. No attempt to back off. Behind Hamilton at turn 1. I don't think Leclerc, when he cut the position from the outside of Hamilton, should come back in front of Lewis Hamilton. And I think that is what Lewis is talking about. Two main rivals that he was looking at cutting the corner were Leclerc and Verstappen. Verstappen's behind him. Obviously did then just put on the big attack, but Leclerc is still ahead of him. I think Verstappen slotted him rightfully to 4th. I think Leclerc should have gone to 3rd position, quite possibly, because he was the 3rd car on the outside as he cut the corner.
What a dramatic Mexico City Grand Prix we have had so far. Lando Norris got the launch off the line that he needed. We went 4 wide into turn number 1. Verstappen trying to improve up to 3rd position. Hamilton and Verstappen making contact. Verstappen then scrapping with George Russell and Oliver Behrman, running higher in a Grand Prix than he's ever run before. Will be crucial for Haas if he could score major points. Long way to go though, but a great weekend so far for the British driver.
Dropped Verstappen out of DRS range here. Verstappen now falling towards Kimi Antonelli.
Kimi Antonelli loves a late lunge, but he knows who he's up against. We've seen some brilliant moves from the Italian teenager, memorably in Singapore. Earlier this year, he's been superb late on the brakes, on those soft tyres, up against the medium-shod Max Verstappen. The incident involving Verstappen and Hamilton has been noted for causing a collision at the first turn.
I think the first few corners there, I'd just play on if I was in the stewards' room. Verstappen in late, Hamilton sort of barged wide, but Max was there on the apex of the corner. Max then cut the corner at turn 3. There's a bit of give and take. They're still side by side into 4. And then you get the second incident up towards turn 4. That's where Hamilton went round the outside. But Verstappen also couldn't stop it on the road. It's a difficult one for the stewards. Who'd be a steward? It's a thankless task, isn't it?
It is today, my word. Might have to move some of the barriers about and build some gravel traps for next year. Cutting the corner has always been an element of this place, and it's always been controversial. Go back to the second modern running of the race here in Mexico City. It was Lewis Hamilton over the road, maintaining the lead when he was trying to beat Nico Rosberg to the title. Rosberg's championship year of 2016.
Piastri's got his best chance yet on the back of Tsunoda.
This has got to be it for Oscar Piastri, you feel. He will have the DRS. Tsunoda won't have that to George Russell. Piastri was expecting to have better race pace than won that pace, and that's a position recovered for the championship leader. As it stands, he still needs to get into the top 4 to maintain his advantage over his teammate.
Patient, 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 and then unbelievably easy at the end of that one. 11 laps, and Piastri takes the position. Nothing Tsunoda can do to defend there, the DRS. And the exit, he's good in the final sector, Piastri. In fact, the final sector is where Norris made up the bulk of his difference for pole as well. The McLaren working really well in that low speed sequence of corners, and that is an extra couple of points for Oscar, but at this stage an 8th place won't be what he is after in this race.
Pretty much going to plan. We could start opening the gap to Charles Leclerc behind. The message from Will Joseph, the Lando Norris is driver in the lead by 3.1 seconds. He was the hot favourite to win this Grand Prix if he completed lap 1 in the lead, and he's done so. Esteban Ocon is catching Yuki Tsunoda very quickly. Tsunoda said the overall performance was okay, but he was sliding a lot around the racetrack. He missed out on Q3 yesterday.
This is extraordinary from Ollie Behrman. Actually starting to put another couple of tenths on Max Verstappen. It's half a tenth this time around, but the gap in the last 2 laps is just eking towards 1.4, 1.5 seconds now. Is Verstappen just biding his time before launching another attack? Here comes his teammate Esteban Ocon with the DRS2, too far back.
It is an updated car. The Haas brought a new floor to the last Grand Prix in Austin. That's a sprint weekend though, so you don't always understand how your upgrades are working. They've made use of it. Both drivers very happy, especially with the qualifying performance improvement. Esteban Ocon was raving about that yesterday.
Tsunoda's not got a huge amount of pace in one Red Bull. Verstappen also doesn't have a lot in the other. Did get close, put in that lunge on Hamilton. But he is good at putting the pressure on in those early laps, isn't he, Max? He often does it. Tries to get the track position when there's something in the tyres and then now find his rhythm. Is that it, or will he just be looking after them and attack again? You'd think with Ollie Behrman ahead, there's got to be more pace in the Red Bull. Third of the second drivers is, again, Ocon attacking Tsunoda. And Behrman's start has been awesome. 9th on the grid, up into 6th on the first lap, and then picking up the pieces when Verstappen, Hamilton and Russell all get towards each other, and through he goes with a tasty bit of driving against Max Verstappen.
Kimi Antonelli is 9/10 of a second away from Verstappen. Verstappen not in the DRS of Oliver Behrman. Soft tyre, the favoured tyre so far. You can see Antonelli running inside. I can tell you the chatter at the moment. Let's just wait for Esteban Ocon. Let's see if he fancies the move. This medium tyre wasn't anyone's friend on the long run. Loads of turf on the inside of the racetrack on the exit of turn 3. Sums up what we saw in the opening laps.
Half the field went lawn mowing, didn't they, in the first corner? And you bounce on so quick. I should say, Verstappen's car control was phenomenal. The speed that he barreled off the road, it seemed like the wall was going to gobble him up on the outside.
Dangerous defense there.
Oh, Esteban, you want to see what we've had further up the order?
Yeah, the stewards have got plenty to look at. That is going to fall on deaf ears at this stage, I think, for Esteban Ocon. But the Verstappen, he's opposite, he's speedway at the first corner for Verstappen. He got so perilously close to the wall as well, because he's that fast into the corner.
It's one of those replays where you know he hasn't hit the wall, and then you see it on board, and you're thinking, how?
Because he couldn't slow the car down, could he? So Russell thinks that Verstappen braked so ridiculously late. I don't think he necessarily did, but he's braking from that curb on the right-hand side of your picture there, so he's not able to get the tyres in proper contact with the asphalt, so he cannot decelerate. There's straight away a lock-up from there, and then he's barrelling off over the grass, turning left to go right, and the barriers. I haven't seen anyone just plough straight in there without contact before.
This is the corner we're talking about. Look how far away the barrier is. It shows you how far he went off the road.
Oh, they pinged it off, didn't they? But then you know at that point that you come back on in front and then you can sort it out to your own preference afterwards and let the stewards decide if your preference was right or wrong. Is there a bit of damage on the end plate of the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso there? Slight wobble?
Yeah, Sainz and Alonso were reviewed for turn 2 of lap 1 for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. No further action, so it might explain.
Start with the big ones.
Yeah, they noted that one first, and then there was a lot to sort out afterwards.
I noted that one last, I have to say.
Lap 15 of 71.
I've only just noted it.
It's all right, we've got all bases covered. Didn't know where to look at the start of the Grand Prix. As it stands, we have a new championship leader. Lando Norris would take the lead in the points. All the talk of Max Verstappen, his incredible run, getting that 104-point gap down to just 40 at the start of the Grand Prix today. It's not been the opening laps that he was looking for. Over the curb and lucky to keep it out of the barrier on the first lap, and then trying to improve to third in the early stages of the Grand Prix, then contact with Hamilton, then racing George Russell, opening the door for Oliver Behrman, who hit the accelerator and took P4. Haas have only finished in the top 4 once in their history as Romain Grosjean back in Austria 2018.
No further action for Hamilton for not following the race director's notes. That's to go properly wide at turn 4 and come back on safely at turn 5. But there is now an investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. There's the confirmation. That seems the more obvious one for Hamilton because he was embroiled in that tight fight. He will say that Verstappen lost so much time afterwards with Russell, with Behrman, that actually he didn't really gain, just Verstappen lost in the melee. But he was then 2 seconds clear, wasn't he, by the time everyone else behind settled down. So that is now what is under investigation, and my word, it's a 10-second penalty for Lewis Hamilton.
That's in the rule book. If you leave the track and you gain an advantage, it is a 10-second penalty if you are adjudged to have done it, increased in the last couple of years to stop drivers playing tactical games. But what was a really rough fight for a couple of corners has landed Lewis Hamilton a 10-second penalty. It gives encouragement to Oliver Behrman. A reminder for you, Haas have never scored a podium in their entire team history, to Max Verstappen further back. And normally this is the stage where Julian rolls his eyes at the fact I've just told you, that Haas have never scored a podium in Formula 1. But after a season of Hadjar and Hulkenberg on the roster,
I believe,
who knows what might happen. Right now, with that time penalty applied, Oliver Behrman would be P3.
and in both of those races, the Hadjar, the Hulkenberg one, there has been someone to lose out in a big way. In Silverstone, Piastri got the penalty but stayed in the podium. It was Verstappen had his spin which put Hulkenberg up into that 3rd place. In Zandvoort, Norris's DNF elevated Hadjar, who ran for so long in 4th place, up to 3rd. And here, Behrman is now in a net 3rd place, and he's still driving away bit by bit from Verstappen.
So this was side by side. Max Verstappen going deep, running wide, and then trying to stay ahead of the Mercedes. Oliver Behrman taking advantage of that moment, and Lewis Hamilton leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Got him a 10-second time penalty.
Well, I think it would be a stretch for Hamilton to say that Verstappen forced him off. Verstappen was going in deep, didn't stay on the track himself, but so was Lewis of his own volition there. It's a difficult one for the stewards at that point, but they have given the 10-second penalty to Hamilton, which is the mandated penalty for someone going off track and gaining an advantage. It's what we see time and time again, and that is what Hamilton now has. But he has the track position with it in 3rd position. That's what he retained by going off. That's the advantage. And with that, he will now try and drive away from Ollie Behrman by another 5.5 seconds.
Lap 17 of 71, whilst we have been talking about the dramatic events in the upper reaches of this Grand Prix and an incredible performance from Oliver Behrman, who was a 4-time race winner in his rookie F2 season, and he doesn't like to talk about his final year in the campaign. It was his FP1s for the Haas team that got him promoted, and he has come on strong. He's looking for his 3rd point-scoring finish in a row, his 3rd Q3 appearance in a row yesterday.
Norris is checking out, 7.5 seconds. This race is hunky-dory for him at the moment. Piastri's showing that he's got some pace today. Now putting the pressure on George Russell, who's not within DRS range of Antonelli ahead. Visor cam with Piastri, you can just hear a spike of wheel spin as he tried to get that power down a little too early, still with too much steering lock. On the soft tyres, still hanging in okay at this stage, no sign of degradation yet. Getting closer, not close enough surely, nope.
McLaren did their Friday long run pace on the soft tyre, attacking so much, and again another slide coming out of turn 3. We've seen that so many times for him so far this weekend.
Millering that apex curve. I think he's over track limits on the inside. Williams are chuffed with that for Carlos Sainz. Qualified so well yesterday.
Carlos Sainz yesterday said it was his best qualifying lap for Williams. He wasn't even downbeat about the 5-place penalty because he said he had brilliant pace, including qualifying this man on merit before the penalty was applied.
That's the amazing thing. He's in a real rich vein of form at the moment, Sainz. Absolutely flying, and Williams taking the opportunity to hit early.
Piastri lining up George Russell. This is the thing. If you get different contenders in the top 6, sometimes you would instantly expect Piastri to improve up to 7th place. But this is a 2-time Grand Prix winner. Driver who can be very, very happy with his campaign. 8 times he stood on the podium this year. highly rated by all in the paddock, including Mercedes, who gave him a multiple-year deal. But the McLaren is a very strong car. Lando Norris proving that out front. How close can Piastri get under braking? Not close enough to shape for the move. He stays in the wheel tracks.
He's able to keep much tighter, neater lines. This is where he pulls the curve, and you can see the difference between Russell and Piastri. Piastri just taking a few inches more out of that apex curve, and it's giving him a straighter exit. A little bit of DRS, not that extra little bit of bravery into turn 4, but Russell actually was deep trying to defend.
Now this is Carlos Sainz, driver currently in 19th place and going deep. Sainz running in 19th, having made his stop. He put on the soft tyres, and that must have been coming out of the pit lane.
The track is filthy, isn't it?
Way more than we've seen in previous years. This is a track that isn't used week in, week out, but off the racing line, it's Bahrain testing, Sandy, so far this weekend.
So, Hamilton and Verstappen are under investigation once more. This is for causing a collision at turn 1. Hamilton, of course, will argue that all the fracas was caused by that moment at turn 1, and then they were trying to sort themselves out up towards turn 4. I haven't heard any radio communication for Lewis Hamilton in third place. We're seeing Behrman hang right with him at 4 seconds back. It's Piastri close enough into turn 1. He's poised though, any slip for Russell, and Piastri will be through. Behrman's doing a cracking job. Hamilton, as a reminder, will have to serve 10 seconds in his pit stop, which we are thinking should be coming up in the next 10 laps.
Was already told us ahead of the Grand Prix. I tell you, Lewis Hamilton has at this very moment been informed of the penalty. So Ferrari waiting a while to inform their driver, 7-time world champion, about the decision of the stewards to award him a 10-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
That'll drop him behind Antonelli and right with, on the last lap, Oscar Piastri in fact. But Russell and Piastri are starting to drop away, and this isn't helping there at their time trial against Lewis Hamilton. The Ferrari pace is not tremendous compared to everyone around them at this stage. Not really dropping any further, the gaggle behind. Just Russell now looking in his mirrors and seeing the championship leader starting to put some pressure on.
Oscar Piastri has been in this position for a while, trying to get the power down. Plenty of sliding so far this weekend. That's also been a problem for George Russell. He said he was happy with the long run pace. He believed the first lap would decide a lot of this Grand Prix.
Hamilton 3/10 slower than Behrman on the last lap. The gap just a nudge, less than 4 seconds between them. So this isn't going to work out at all for Lewis Hamilton. In theory, has the clear track. In reality, doesn't have the pace to make the use of it.
Again, Piastri leaning on the curb. He's got the DRS. Seems a lot happier heading to turn number 4 than he does heading to turn number 1. But there's no clear way by for the championship leader since the Saudi Grand Prix, April the 20th. Fernando Alonso has come into the pits. A stop time of 7.1 is not going to please him one bit.
Another part of the incident noted between Hamilton and Verstappen. Go frame by frame, the stewards today. They've dealt with the turn 4 part, now they're looking at 1 and 3. Sure, looking at overall, maybe the first part and the turn 4 separately. Here's Sainz.
He's getting past Franco Colapinto, who was very happy with the car on Friday. But both Alpine drivers were disconsolate with the performance of their machine yesterday. They're in the back.
We have 10 seconds.
Coming out of turn 3 and shape for the move at the next corner. There is the DRS zone to help him get closer to the Mercedes in front, but again, he just can't get near.
No, he should have been much closer coming through that first sequence there. Got Russell to defend. Had the chance to open up the corners at 2 and 3, but Russell got great traction off turn 3. And still is clear of Piastri for another lap. Piastri's still there with Antonelli, with Verstappen. Behrman still just inch by inch moving away from Max Verstappen and towards Lewis Hamilton and a podium position net. But remember, Verstappen's also on the different tyres. He's on the medium at this stage, but probably
to the pits. This is now a battle for 6th position.
so we will see if Russell can close towards Verstappen at all. Was the dirty air of Antonelli a problem? Dirty air of Russell still a problem for Piastri. He's got good braking ability, but he's not quite close enough to throw one down. Inside at turn 1, and then Russell is very clean. A little bit of oversteer as he got on the gas out of turn 3, but he's getting drive there, and the second DRS zone still is negated for Piastri. Cannot get close enough for that move at turn 4. Hamilton is in trouble here. He's in trouble. Behrman is now 2.5 seconds away from Lewis Hamilton.
2 seconds.
What a big mistake. He's had an awful in-lap, and he's got a 10-second penalty to serve here, so this is going to drop him well out of contention.
Oliver Behrman climbs another place in the Grand Prix, up to P3 on the road. Hamilton's Ferrari crew will have to wait 10 seconds before servicing the car. Such frustration for the 7-time world champion, who shakes his head and waits for the pit stop. He was dreaming of a first Ferrari Grand Prix podium today. Instead, it's the Ferrari Academy driver in the Junior Championships, Oliver Behrman, who could be another shock. But remember, Verstappen will have the soft tyres at the end.
Are we on a one-stop or a two-stop at the moment? Right. Okay.
I can hear everything.
And so can we. A little bit of the behind the scenes there as GP checks in on the strategy to work out what's going on. And Max is like, hello, I'm hearing everything right now. All the faders are up.
Yeah, the GP is the race engineer, he's not the strategist. And it shows, actually, as a bit of insight, that the race engineer on lap 25 out of 71 has no clue what they're doing on strategy. They're having to actually ask the other members of the team on the pit wall, what are they doing? Surely it's a one-stop. Surely we'll know it's a one-stop, don't we? But Verstappen continues, and GP obviously keeping that radio on, and the dialogue just gives us an insight.
Championship leader into the pits. What was that stop time for Oscar Piastri? 3.6 is not what he needs. Oliver Behrman coming in as well, trying to cover off the Ferrari.
Yeah, Haas showing the way. They're not going to struggle to cover off Lewis Hamilton. He's mired well down the field.
And the move for Kimi Antonelli behind, more important, Behrman out ahead of the Mercedes that have gone to the fresher rubber.
So that is the car that Behrman was covering off. Antonelli pulling the trigger, Mercedes trying to get the undercut there with him, and that may well put him ahead of Max Verstappen. Verstappen cannot pit at this stage because he started on the medium tyre. Well, he could go onto the hard. The soft won't make it to the end.
These former F2 teammates close on track right now. That was a lock-up at turn 4 for Oliver Behrman. Gives encouragement to Antonelli behind.
Piastri is ahead of Hamilton as well. Lewis's in-lap cost him a lot of time there. At least a couple of seconds on the in-lap, and it means that Piastri has also jumped him.
George Russell now being called in for his stop. Driver running in 4th position.
He's got to cover off Oscar Piastri. Remember, that was the race before Oscar pitted. Piastri stuck in behind Alex Albon on this lap. It's an important outlap for him.
So Russell coming in, going a lap longer. And it's over to Mercedes for a high-pressure stop. The track conditions so important around here. George Russell with a 2.7-second stop. Where does he come out in relation to his teammate and Oscar Piastri? They're coming through your picture right now. Piastri trying to get past Alexander Albon, but he will get past the Williams and see a familiar sight. The Mercedes of George Russell is still ahead of the championship leader.
Russell's got to get those tyres fired up. Piastri, in fact, is a bit deep into the first corner with the DRS, probably arriving a bit quicker than he was expecting, and that will give Russell the chance to escape him up towards turn 4 once again. Antonelli up the road, of course, was already ahead of Russell.
Antonelli gets past Bortoleto. Bortoleto yet to stop.
So now we look to Verstappen, who started on that medium tyre. His pace isn't great at the moment. He's over a second away from these guys that are pitted for new mediums. It's a long old way to go still on the medium tyre. We're heading towards half distance. I think it will go the distance, but it is still a long way to go, and the tyre, there is some degradation for Verstappen. He's a second away from his best lap at the moment.
So Verstappen, a 5-time winner of this Grand Prix, just trying to elongate the stint on the medium tyres before the stop that gives him the soft. And the debate about a 1-stop and a 2-stop. The temperature today is worth underlining. It's the highest it's been, track temperature highest it's been all weekend long at 51 degrees. Lewis Hamilton going to find his way past Alexander Albon now. Albon, who started on the hard tyres, unusual choice in the field, and he's running as long as possible. And as one Williams is passed, it's not good news for the other one. It's a 5-second time penalty for Carlos Sainz for speeding in the pit lane. A weekend that promised so much falling through Williams' fingers.
It's had a 5-second stop, didn't it? We caught the end of it and saw the Williams guys fist pumping, but it's not gone well for them in that stop. Sainz too quick, presumably on the way into the pit lane.
Nico Hülkenberg looks set to become our second retirement of the day. It's been a weekend where a lot of reliability issues have reared their head, and the podium finisher from Silverstone is out of the Grand Prix.
It's a difficult one, reliability-wise, this race. Here we go, battle for net third position is rejoined. Antonelli starts to think this is a chance to strike up behind the slower car, the Racing Bulls of Hadjar, who hasn't stopped yet. Behrman will need to make a clean pass. Antonelli will have DRS and try and follow him through. Ocon peels into the pit, so they'll both gain another spot.
Let's see whether there's a clean, efficient move for Oliver Behrman in the Haas, trying to give the team their first Grand Prix podium today, immediately into the wheel tracks. That's racecraft for Hadjar. Further back, George Russell gets past Bortoleto, who's yet to stop. Lando Norris leads by nearly, and now 14 seconds.
Russell clearing away from Piastri as well. Piastri trying the undercut, didn't work. McLaren had a 3.6-second stop, cost him a crucial bit of lap time.
Antonelli with the easy pass, Hadjar on fading tyres, Antonelli on fresh mediums.
But that's another hurdle pass for Ollie Behrman. And he's now 5 seconds away from Yuki Tsunoda, who will be the next car to pass. Tsunoda must pit, Verstappen must pit, so must the top two, although they've got comfortable cushions to those behind. And then Behrman will be trying to run to the end of the race in third position, with a fellow rookie, and as you say, former teammate from last year riding behind him. They will all have, at some point, Max Verstappen charging up later on in the Grand Prix, but Verstappen's going to lose a huge amount of time by staying out at this stage. He's a 1.5 seconds per lap slower than Piastri. He's 2 seconds pretty much slower than Russell on the last lap, so he's waiting for a soft tyre to go onto, but this is not working out for Verstappen. He's only 0.2 per lap quicker than Tsunoda at this stage. Good job from Yuki, but the Red Bull of Verstappen not having things too easy.
Max Verstappen has set across the course of the weekend. As you see, just a little look for Russell. A pass being completed behind for Oscar Piastri. Let's pass the Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto, yet to stop in the Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz is moving up past his teammate to P12. Driver with a 5-second time penalty. This is George Russell going to the inside of Isaac Hadjar. Again, Hadjar yet to stop. Podium finisher in Zandvoort earlier this year, having a fine rookie season in Formula One. Yesterday was his 12th Q3 appearance.
His last lap paused mid-sentence to wait for Lando Norris to go 14 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc. It's now 15.5 seconds clear. Second per lap he's doing on Leclerc.
Jumping in the pit lane. I don't know why. Watch him jumping in the pit lane. Like something's broken. Like the vibrations on the pit lane.
So it's not, it looked under control on the way in. And yeah, there's obviously a slight issue with the pit lane speed limiter for Sainz, so that's why he's gone up ahead of it. And he's getting big vibrations from the power unit as it's trying to control him at a speed, and he's probably lurching slightly too quick and then slightly slower again, and that is what's triggered the pit lane speeding.
Another position gain for Oscar Piastri, finds himself in 8th place behind Lewis Hamilton. He's getting past Gabriel Bortoleto. Hamilton, who really faded on those soft tyres at the end of the stint. We didn't see a replay of a moment off the road, but he was dropping huge chunks of time at the end of his stint on the soft. For Oscar Piastri, as we can show you right now, a change of lead in the World Championship. He's got to believe that he can hunt down those ahead. 2 Mercedes and Oliver Behrman between him and a podium that would keep him in contention. He's got to be P4 to keep the championship lead if Lando Norris wins the Grand Prix.
He's in a net P6 because he is ahead of both the Red Bull drivers once they take their mandatory pit stop. Tsunoda will drop way further down. Verstappen will emerge quite close behind Piastri as things stand, but he's dropping with every lap he stays out at the moment. But he needs to stay out if he wants to put on a soft tyre. Leclerc doesn't need to stay out because he can fit a medium and go to the end. So that's what he will do on the next lap. Norris presumably will then cover him off. Still absolutely soaring away. Is a league of 1 for Norris. He's a second and a half quicker than Leclerc on the last lap.
His team principal, Andrea Stella, was singing his praises on low-grip circuits like this one, saying that's where we see the very best of Lando Norris's talent. The field were expecting a demonstration run out front if he kept the lead on lap 1. He has done so. 17 seconds is an enormous gap at this stage of the race. Charles Leclerc in second, still on that soft tyre. Max Verstappen is finding himself 28 seconds away from the race leader. But crucially, Verstappen is outscoring the current championship leader. Lando Norris would take the lead of the points battle if it finishes like this. Long way to go, uncertain degradation for the tyres. Charles Leclerc got podium number 6 of the season last time out in Austin a week ago. He's currently running in P2 as he heads to the pit lane.
Ferrari needed a sensible stop to make sure they come out ahead of Behrman, who has caught Yuki Tsunoda up now. So the way that the medium tyres are going, Verstappen and Tsunoda may well be heading towards a 1-stop, but are the rest of them going to be having to look towards a 2-stop at this rate? Or are they going to limp home on a medium tyre? Here we go with Behrman passing Tsunoda.
The question was, could Yuki Tsunoda do anything to stem the advantage of Oliver Behrman? And the answer, emphatic down to turn number 1. Behrman manages to get by very, very quickly. This, by far, his finest drive in Formula 1, used to winning races in Formula 2, a contender for the title in Formula 3, a brilliant battle that involved Isaac Hadjar, who's also in the mix that year. In the end, it went to Victor Martins, who's been unable to climb into Formula 1. Incredible scrap. This is how Behrman got another position. He's been on the front foot today. That updated Haas working brilliantly, allowing the smallest team on the grid to dream. Look how much his father's into it. David Behrman living every moment. You can't blame him. How much would this mean? Even great points. It's going to mean a lot to Haas. When you bring an update late in the season, it's got to work. It's really got to work. That's not always been the case with Haas as well. And a reminder for you, Oliver Behrman today started P18 in the championship.
Now forget the championship points. The Constructors' Championship. There's a tin pot and a spray of some champagne on offer here for Behrman. You wouldn't dream of it starting the season with Haas.
9 podium finishes so far this year, including Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes man is clearing another position. He is in the mix for a second trip to the podium in his Formula One career. George Russell will have something to say about it. Wave the championship leader, still the championship leader as it stands. Oscar Piastri, he will also be in the mix, and Yuki Tsunoda's tyres are fading. We have seen plenty of late drama around this racetrack. It's decided 2 titles for Lewis Hamilton in the past, and now Red Bull is ahead of the McLaren.
Russell's cleared Tsunoda at a brilliant spot on the circuit. Piastri will now have to sit behind Tsunoda probably for the rest of the lap, because the opportunities are not there, and Yuki's going pretty slowly on that worn medium tyre. So Russell will disappear, and there you go, through these twisters. There's just absolutely nothing you can do. Piastri actually running so close behind Yuki. He'll get a chance in towards this corner, but really it's not an overtaking spot unless he's absolutely done, which he's not yet, Tsunoda. So just holding Piastri back. That gap now up to Russell, heading towards 2 seconds.
Just shows you the efficiency of the pass. We've got 2 real overtaking opportunities around this racetrack. Turn 1 and turn 4. Everything else is a real risk to your race. Piastri looks a lot happier than he did in practice and qualifying. He gets past the Red Bull. Russell and Antonelli are in close formation. Lando Norris is finally being pulled to the pits. Piastri holds the championship lead, but if it finishes like this, Lando Norris will claim the lead of the race with just 4 Grand Prix to run in 2025. We go on board for what is an amazing first into the race for Lando Norris. Coming to a close, it's over to McLaren.
Lowest pressure pit stop of the year in many ways, but there is still a title on the line. Mechanics have got to get the wheels off, get them on. It doesn't have to be 2 seconds, but it's, I think, better than the 3.6 they gave Oscar Piastri. 2.6 for Lando Norris, and off he goes back into the lead of the race in a drive towards the checkered flag now, and he will be very happy for this to be a lonely old race out front, having dealt with the 3 other drivers side by side at the first corner. A distant shot back to
more pace here.
Okay, well, you're free to overtake.
Russell saying to the team, it'd be quite good to swap us round, you know. And the team saying, well, go on, show us then. George Russell looking to the inside. The 2 Mercedes free to race. Lewis Hamilton getting past Yuki Tsunoda. And he's up to 8th position.
There's a podium on the line for someone in this race. Right now it's Ollie Behrman's. Antonelli's kept Behrman in check. Behrman's not miles away from Leclerc, but Leclerc's got fresher tyres to the tune of 7 laps, which will be an advantage he'll carry to the rest of the to the checkered flag now. So Behrman in 3rd is driving magnificently so far today. Antonelli has done a great job and has kept him there. Russell has been Mercedes' lead driver for pretty much the entire season, and he now fancies a chance at this podium. Piastri's behind Russell, and somewhere Verstappen will make a pit stop and emerge and try and charge behind all of them. But when he pits, he's going to be 10th and miles away from Lewis Hamilton.
Not again for Fernando Alonso. Is this a 3rd consecutive retirement for the Mexico City Grand Prix for the 2-time world champion? Just does not have the luck around this racetrack, and he appears to be our 3rd retirement of the day. 3 years in a row he's failed to see the flag.
Well, stay tuned, because it is a difficult...
Large in the mirrors.
Okay, George, so let's manage these front brakes for a lap or 2.
We've got Ferrari and a hash ahead. We can fight for the podium here.
I do need brakes at the end of the race, though.
Well, that's what I was just saying. The brake cooling is tricky, and Russell is sitting in the slipstream of his teammate, so that thin air is, even less of it, is getting to George Russell's brakes to cool down on the long straights. Russell's thinking, stuff the brakes, let me try and make a move here. Want another podium. He's been driving brilliantly as well himself, had the win in Singapore and has been so consistent this year. Antonelli looked like he had the pace on Russell in the first stint. It was George who was having to soak up the pressure from Oscar Piastri behind, but on this stint, on the mediums, Russell looks much more competitive.
Taking a while to come in the medium tyres. Charles Leclerc has a massive tyre advantage over Ollie Behrman. Been on them for 4 laps. The gap is only 2.6 seconds.
I have to assume he's cruising at this stage just to make sure that they stay in for the end of the race. He's bringing them in gently. Plenty of others were able to hop on it straight away. Russell's done the fastest lap of the race. He set quite a while ago. Starting on the medium tyre, they're obviously holding out for a soft. Tsunoda has dived in now for that pit stop. Surely Verstappen has to do the same. Is he waiting for a chance of a safety car?
Further back, Esteban Ocon in the Haas up against Alexander Albon. Very, very tight. Tight enough for a pass? Yes, it is. Up to 11th position for Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, nice move from Ocon. His teammate running really high in the podium places. But that was a tasty pass around the outside, having made a pit stop. Albon has not. Albon started on that slower, hard tyre, and it will go very long. Behrman in the podium places only when Verstappen makes his pit stop. But he'll now see Verstappen up the road. Even if he was switched to a 2-stop, Verstappen is not going to have it easy to beat them on a 1.
I've got a McLaren up my... You want me to let past? No, thank you. Just checking.
Love the Saki.
Oh, and it'll make the radio highlights at the end of the year, George. Again, Max Verstappen out in 8th position, but with a tyre advantage. It's been a real arresting of the Verstappen Express that has been relentless in recent weeks, but they have struggled, in the words of team principal Laura Meckes, to find the sweet spot with the balance. They've been sliding all over the road using their tyres. Lance Stroll is the next driver to get past Alex Albon on the left-hand side of your picture.
So Verstappen emerges ahead of Sainz, who's on a soft tyre.
I'm happy to give the position back to Kim if I can't overtake Behrman. We're just compromising both our races here. I want much more pace here, guys.
He'll be a barrister one day, won't he? He's got to, surely, in his later career. If he wasted as a team boss or anything else, he's got to go into high-level law.
Eloquently laying out the case that he should...
DRS, he does, he opens it, but he's still going to be under pressure at turn 1.
It was a tight margin. Oh, Piastri looks like he's got so much speed, building up to 200 miles per hour and beyond. Piastri does not dive to the inside. And Russell having to go aggressive, but staying ahead for the time being. Piastri got within 0.3 of a second.
Stays close on the exit of turn 3 this time as well. Russell may have to check his mirrors up to 4.
This is the battle for an unlikely podium position for Oliver Behrman, trying to hang on to it. Antonelli 1.2 seconds away. Russell trying to keep Piastri behind. They're all in the mix for the final step on the podium.
If Piastri can clear Russell, he then might have a better chance to pick off Antonelli and then Behrman. There is a podium in play here for Piastri. Russell is at the moment in the DRS straight, so he's within a second of the car ahead. That means he gets the DRS, the same as Piastri gets the DRS behind, and that speed is negated. You see exactly that as the rear wing pops open down towards turn 12 for George Russell. He needs Russell to drop away Oscar Piastri at the moment, and then he'll have a chance to strike. Right now, whilst Russell's getting frustrated, the fact that he is so close behind Antonelli means he's got a great chance to defend from Oscar Piastri.
Oscar Piastri comes across the line to start another lap. Lando Norris is making his way to turn number 4. It has been a contrast of a weekend between the two McLaren contenders for the title, but championships are won by turning P6 into P3. Piastri knows the task ahead of him, and what an equation we have in front of us. Oliver Behrman trying to score his first Formula 1 Grand Prix podium, to do the same thing for Haas as well. He can see we're going to get a battle between Hamilton and Verstappen. Verstappen trying something different on the medium tyres. Antonelli going for only his second podium finish. Russell looking to break his tally for an entire Formula 1 season. He's ninth if he stood there. And Piastri, if he's on the podium, will breathe the largest sigh of relief, because it has been a brutal and tough weekend when it comes to overall pace.
Verstappen, I think he's going to catch Hamilton before 7 laps at the pace he's going. He's got 1.2 seconds quicker than Hamilton on the last lap, and Hamilton's struggling to reignite that mojo.
So rear surface temperatures are sky high. George, let's get these under control.
Marcus, I've got a car in my... Okay? The car much quicker than ours. I'm trying to hold position. I've got much more pace than Kimi here. We can fight for a podium. I'm happy to give the position back if I don't achieve it. But my tyres are just going to sacked here.
Understood.
Get away from Behrman.
Backwards and gets dropped by Behrman, having chewed up his tyres for so long behind Antonelli. It's one thing claiming it, you've then got to prove it when you get the position. And Russell was pretty adamant on the radio. Let's see if he can go up and chase that 2 seconds to Ollie Behrman ahead.
Well, he's going to have to, because if he doesn't get inside 1 second and Piastri's able to clear Antonelli, there's going to be some explaining to do. And Antonelli, will he have... Remember, this is his rookie season. Will he have the know-how out of the final corner that Russell was deploying lap after lap after lap against Piastri? We're on board with the driver in his rookie season, 3rd year of competition for the man leading the World Championship at the start of the day.
Antonelli stays within a second of Russell. There goes the rear wing, DRS activated, and he will be able to defend from Piastri, on this occasion. It might work for Piastri if Russell can check out now from Antonelli. If he can show what he was clawing for on the radio, then Antonelli will drop away, and Piastri will have a chance to pick them off one by one if he has the pace and the tyre life himself.
Never heard George Russell like that on the radio, but have heard George Russell like that in the Junior Championships. Either way, he got his track position. Kimi Antonelli 0.6 of a second away. And what a performance for Oliver Behrman. In a season of unlikely podium finishes, we've watched Hulkenberg stand up there, we've watched Hadjar brilliantly take P3 in Zandvoort. This is some Grand Prix, no matter how it turns out.
No, you're going early on this now. I believe it might happen, but you've gone really early with the big sell.
Let's hear Norris.
Lando, to help the other side, how much do you prefer the soft over the medium? A little bit or a lot?
I mean, it doesn't feel too bad now, but I still think the soft, honestly.
Thank you.
So is Piastri going to two-stop it from here then?
Won by a mile, and for a Haas to run in the podium positions for any laps is impressive, let alone to be there on lap 43.
You're right, it is very impressive. At the moment, Russell's making no inroads on him either. That 2 second gap remains a 2 second gap, over a lap and a half now of clear air for Russell, and Antonelli stays half a second from the back of George Russell. Piastri glued to the back of Antonelli. Verstappen closing in on the back of Hamilton, 9/10 per lap on the last lap, 1 second quicker than the bunch up to Ollie Behrman in third position. He's got 11 seconds still to make up, and he's got to keep that soft tyre going for a long way as well.
Last time around, Lando Norris in clear air did a 1:21.4. Last time around, Oscar Piastri 0.7 of a second away from Kimi Antonelli as he watched from the visor cam in a 1:22.3. Behrman was quicker than Russell on the last lap for your reference.
The only logic I can think of asking Norris what tyre he prefers for what Piastri goes on for a second stop. conditions. 27 laps remaining. Tyres are hanging on at the moment. I mean, it did look quite ugly in the end for the Red Bulls on the medium, so maybe that's what McLaren are thinking. If it falls away, you may have to pull the trigger on a second stop.
Yeah, making use of having the time to run on a soft for long enough to get the advantage if the others are going to fall away. They ran on the soft tyres on Friday, they ran on medium tyres on Saturday for a slightly longer run. It's Lando Norris comfortably in the lead of the Mexico City Grand Prix, on his way to taking the championship lead as it stands. Still a long way to go. Piastri still in podium contention. This is Alexander Albon in the stadium section. Thai driver currently running in 15th position. And he was able to clear Franco Colapinto. And he was able to clear him immediately. It wasn't much of a contest. He's finally got rid of the hards and put on the soft tyres.
That's the state of play for Alpine at the moment. There's never much of a contest with them out in Q1 and now at the back of the field. So if you're Max Verstappen, you're on a set of softs, 14 laps better than Lewis Hamilton's softs. We stayed on that shot, but it's in Max approaching in the background behind Lewis. And if you're Max Verstappen, you're thinking, the last guy I want to try and pass right now is the guy that's just had a 10-second penalty for fighting really hard with me and cutting a corner and gaining advantage on the last occurrence. Hamilton's going to be thinking, stuff you, I'm going to give you absolutely everything in defence at this point, because you do hold a grudge behind the visor in the race. Believe you me. And there we go, the long shot, Behrman, Russell, Antonelli, Piastri, then a gap, then Hamilton and Verstappen.
Had some spicy chat on the radio today. The latest instalment from Alex Albon, who wants a reference from Carlos Sainz.
Does the thin air do that? Is that
What was wild at points in the early stages.
get the blood pressure going a little bit more? I guess the heart rate going a little bit more.
It did into turn one on lap one, where we saw 4 wide for the lead. Crucially for Lando Norris, he kept the lead of the Grand Prix, and he has done what many in the paddock thought he would do and left the field behind. Whether his teammate can make progress, that is so important, because Verstappen will be closing in on Hamilton, and then he's able to get by Piastri.
This is the chance for Piastri now, and I think he knows it, into the stadium section. Antonelli's more than a second away from Russell. It doesn't look a huge amount as they slow it down through turn 13, but it is. And Piastri senses this is an opportunity, and he's very, very close coming out of turn 16, using that wider line, trying to open it up and get the power down. Antonelli won't have the DRS, so here comes Piastri.
Closing in. It looks good at this point. Can he get to the inside line? Antonelli knows he's got to go defensive. There's a big shape thrown by the Italian. He stays ahead for the moment. But did he compromise his entry into the first 3 turns? Piastri has drive off the corner. He's 0.4 of a second away, 0.3 of a second away. Does Piastri have to go defensive again? Looking up the road, we're on board with Max Verstappen. Position has been defended by Kimi Antonelli.
He's not made it through. Oscar at the moment quite cautious. He's not willing, understandably, to throw a half-baked move down the inside of someone that's not scrapping for a World Championship. So he has to be cautious. Antonelli dropping away a little further from Russell, though, and with every 10th of a second that he falls away from his teammate, it will create an easier opportunity for Piastri. Verstappen very close now behind Hamilton. There'll be a DRS opportunity for him.
Oscar, we think there should be box to overtake Antonelli, unless you will pass from the start finish next time.
That is a lot of ground to make up for Oscar Piastri. They know that Verstappen is closing in. He's with Lewis Hamilton now. Hamilton on the medium tyre, Verstappen on the soft. These two have gone racing. Time now for the Australian. Another defensive move. Lewis Hamilton can't offer one. Up against Max Verstappen. Verstappen takes P7. And Oscar Piastri remains in P6, despite the team asking him to make the move this time or think about the 2-stop.
Right, here goes Piastri.
Again, no way by.
Antonelli's in so hot for turn 4 though, but it's very difficult to have a dive up the inside of turn 6. It comes up so quickly on the exit, and he hasn't made it through once again. And now he's going to start falling to the reaches of Verstappen. He'll now be in a DRS train, because he's that close to the back of Antonelli, so he's going to have DRS to defend from Max. He's got a lot of incentive to keep Max behind. He's well over that apex curve at turn 10 as well, trying to open up the corners as much as possible. Russell is now checking out in front. Antonelli's having to defend. He's going to scupper his exits. And Hamilton will be in for a second pit stop.
Right, it is a two-stop in a season where we always say, is it going to be a two-stop? And it's always a one-stop. The degradation is playing a part. And in we come at the same time. At the same time, McLaren and Mercedes elect to pit their drivers, Antonelli and Piastri and Hamilton, all in on the same lap.
So this has got to be majestic from McLaren. It will look very good from the team. Where's Antonelli?
That's the Ferrari stop. What's the order? Crucially, Oscar Piastri is ahead. That is magnificent work from McLaren, and it needed to be.
But it's a two-stop for McLaren and Oscar Piastri. So Max Verstappen on that one-stop. Well, GP was asking, are we on a 1 or a 2? Now it seems a lot more understandable, because he's on a 1 and plenty around are on that two-stop. What does Russell do and what does Behrman do? Surely they now cover off Piastri, who's jumped up into a net. Well, 6th place still, because Verstappen will need some overtaking. And that's a lot of overtaking that Verstappen's going to need to do. He's a full pit stop away now from Max on 10 laps fresher tyres to go to the end of the race.
Lando Norris is out front in a race of his own. Charles Leclerc is 7 seconds ahead of Oliver Behrman, and Russell has been called to the pit lane. And Russell was not able to make a dent in Oliver Behrman's advantage on the medium tyre. 2.3 seconds. It was hovering around 2. Last time around, it was a 10th quicker from Russell. That was the aim. They're now trying to keep ahead of Piastri.
Behrman pits as well, the same lap. This has got to be tidy from Haas.
And they won't have had the pressure like this in a stop for a very, very long time. 3.2 for Mercedes, 2.3 for Haas. An extraordinary stop under pressure. They needed that one. Verstappen promoted to P3 on the road. New rubber for Behrman, and Russell in a straight fight. Ocon putting pressure. If Ocon can find his way by, it'd be enormous for Haas. Ocon will go aggressive but can't get it done.
And that's Piastri now coming up quick behind these two as well. So Piastri can go and attack. Well, first of all, Esteban Ocon, and then George Russell on the fresh tyres. So it is working out well for Verstappen at the moment. But now all of these guys on the two-stop. Piastri doesn't need to tangle with an Esteban Ocon on used tyres right now.
Well, Ocon's going to defend because there's a Haas up the road to the inside. The still current championship leader does force his way by. When it came down to the traction of the tyres, he was able to get by, but Haas trying to delay Piastri's progress because he is a threat to Behrman. Ocon playing the team game, Antonelli trying to get by in an unusual part of the circuit, and he did so. That's all for track position. Fading medium tyres, 21 lap old medium tyres for Esteban Ocon. Piastri getting by, Antonelli getting by, Behrman still with track position over all of them, but Verstappen up to P3.
So there's your tyre age. Verstappen now on 12 laps older tyres than Ollie Behrman and George Russell. 12 lap older tyres, 21 laps to go. It's a big gap that he's got over them.
Here's Lewis Hamilton trying to get past Esteban Ocon. Ocon, all he can do, throw the defensive shape, but he's not got the tyre grip. Hamilton is up to P8. Unbelievably competitive race, isn't it? Behind Lando Norris. You've got Charles Leclerc in a sort of no man's land. He won't mind if he's on the podium later on. Verstappen going for something different at the start. Was on the medium tyre, switched to the soft, and now we're going to see a gaggle of cars try to close up with a tyre advantage. We're on lap 51 of 71. You're watching at the top left of your screen Lando Norris, who is on course if he converts the lead into the win to take the lead of the Drivers' Championship for the first time since the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He lost it in race 5. With 5 to go, can he reclaim it?
Norris just in an absolute class of his own. Surely he won't need to stop again. 20 laps to go. Leclerc covering off, marking Verstappen at the moment. I say that is Verstappen was 9/10 quicker on the last lap with a personal best. I think Verstappen's staring at third place out of nowhere in this one. The one stopper surely it's going to work out. I mean, he has got a fair way to go still. Will those tyres survive? Will they start falling away? That's the big question. The great news for Verstappen really is that Ollie Behrman in the Haas is in 4th place. Behrman will back up Russell, Piastri, Antonelli and Hamilton, all of which in theory should be faster cars. They literally were yesterday and every other race this year. So that's a nice buffer that Verstappen has got to the chasing pack, having Behrman there. And on the last lap, only 2/10 advantage to Behrman.
Behrman having Russell nearly closed within DRS.
This is my play, flying for.
Fine. We're staying out to the end.
Well, they're telegraphing that one.
No plan A's. GP talking to the strategist mid-race. Maybe there is something with the altitude. All sorts going on today. George Russell. Part of the Grand Prix. Behrman will be just looking for big points for Haas. Anything inside the top 6 for Haas is an excellent performance. Oliver Behrman running in the top 3 for a long time. His first laps in the top 3 in Formula 1, showing today why Haas was so desperate to put him in the car.
So, Ferrari have a chance to pit Leclerc onto a set of softs. They will lose track position to Verstappen as Russell starts to become a menace in the mirrors of Behrman as well.
Instruction, they'll switch the cars at turn 1.
Might be the worst strategy I've ever.
The sass continues.
He didn't even finish the sentence, he was so disappointed in it. Fernando Alonso, Nico Hulkenberg and Liam Lawson out of the race. Oliver Behrman on for his highest championship.
He's got a huge amount to do if he's going to catch Verstappen. He's going to have to hope that Max falls off a cliff with his tyres, because there is a big gap and just half a second on the last lap advantage for Behrman. And as you can see, much bigger fish to fry right on his gearbox. George Russell sensing there's an opportunity here on those soft tyres, going to use everything he's got in these early laps to try and get himself some clear air, and then he can go hunting Verstappen for the final podium place.
Max Verstappen last time around did a 1:21.2. Charles Leclerc last time around did a 1:21.9. 10 seconds between them. A medium tyre on the Ferrari for 21 laps at this stage. Thinking about the late move. And that's just to make himself large in the mirrors. Although we did see in Austin, sometimes George Russell does go for the late braking move.
He's got it in him. He had Behrman looking, and you can see Behrman turning to the mirrors, right-hand side, left-hand side, soaking on the pressure. And Leclerc being told there's debris on the outside of the final corner. Sainz is under investigation again for the speeding of the pit lane. That'll be the same issue that he had the first time, reoccurring the second time, and he'll get another penalty for that on a miserable day for him so far. Behrman certainly eyes in the mirrors right now, rather than thinking of trying to hunt down Max Verstappen up the road. Verstappen's thinking of hunting down Charles Leclerc. That may well be the closer fight in the end. Verstappen chasing Leclerc, but will he have soft tyres left to attack with at the end?
That's the question. We saw them fade dramatically on Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari earlier on. Max Verstappen being given the encouragement that he has the pace to attack Charles Leclerc. Red Bull telling him on the radio that they will catch him towards the end. Behrman, then Russell. McLaren coming out of the final corner was Oscar Piastri. Did he clip the debris that was there? He was very close to it around the 17th and final corner of the racetrack. You could see it was sizable.
I didn't notice it that time around. Piastri will be hoping that these two start to come back towards him. Behrman 3/10 quicker than Verstappen on the last lap, so Verstappen is surely heading towards at least a third place and a podium out of this strategy. The reverse, I have to say, I didn't see this one playing out for him at the time. It was difficult to see, but the medium tyre, I think, is just not a good tyre, so it made him look a little bit lousy in the first part of the race. But now he's on the soft. He is on the preferred tyre, catching Charles Leclerc on that medium tyre, 7/10 relentlessly per lap. So that means that if they carry on, then well, he'll catch him before the end of the race.
Encouragement being given for Verstappen, who has outscored both of the McLaren drivers in recent races, getting that gap down, just 40 points away from Oscar Piastri, trying to minimise the damage and points lost. A second position for Verstappen, given how unhappy he has been with some of the balance issues of that car. A lack of grip across the course of the weekend would represent a brilliant result. McLaren knew that Lando Norris was going to thrive here, and he has a big advantage on lap 55.
He'll take another 10 points out of Piastri. Of course, Norris would then become the championship leader as things stand, so the momentum would shift towards the other McLaren, and it really is in terms of pace at the moment. Piastri, he's had better race pace than he had qualifying pace. He's looked quicker than the cars ahead. We've seen him be stuck in behind the Mercedes for most of it. I mean, McLaren did a good job. We've had some slow McLaren pit stops recently, some very famous cases of slow stops from them, but when it counted and he came in at the same time as Kimi Antonelli, they delivered a good one, and Mercedes delivered one of their worst ones in a while, and that has given Piastri another 2 points in a position for the championship.
Gabriel Bortoleto, round to race Isaac Hadjar. It's a sentence I've said before. They climbed the ladder together. Bortoleto having a really encouraging run. He's been on these soft tyres for 17 laps, but crucially for Bortoleto, started down in 16th position and chasing a return to the points. That would be the first time that he's ever improved to the points after not making it to Q3 in his Formula One career. So would be forward progress. And both Sauber drivers yesterday said there was way more in the car than they were able to deliver. There's a drive-through penalty for Carlos Sainz for speeding in the pit lane, according to our race control screen.
That'll be a major speeding then from Sainz, who's obviously got an issue there, electronical issue, that the pit lane speed limit is not latching properly, and it's giving him some random bursts of speed down the pit lane. Trying to make that move, trying to line up Hadjar. Verstappen is marching towards Charles Leclerc. This is some recovery at this stage from Max.
That medium tyre was no one's friend, apart from Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc will hope that he's got tyres left to attack at the end. Verstappen trying something different. Track will be at the grippiest it's been. Rub it in all the way through. The low fuel, highest grippy tyre available to them in the allocation. Piastri closing in the last couple of laps. Knows he needs to get a move on, with Verstappen putting second place under threat. And Piastri launch a late charge here. He's got the gap down from what was 2.3 seconds to 9/10 as he continues to stare at the back of Russell's Mercedes. Australian driver who has no podium finish in the last 3 Grand Prix. 141 points remain to be scored at the start of the day. Have a sprint race as well in Qatar, and have a sprint race in Brazil. 4 Grand Prix to go.
I have to say, there's Sainz getting told he's got the drive-through. I thought we were going to have some witty response, or not so witty if you're Carlos Sainz having a miserable afternoon. But no, in he comes for that drive-through penalty. Got to be served immediately on getting it, unlike the 5-second or the 10-second time penalties. So Sainz in. I'm surprised that none of that pack that were provisionally in third place tried to stay out for a one stop. I know the medium tyre is not looking great. Esteban Ocon's doing it further back for a couple of points for Haas at the moment. He's actually still lapping okay for Esteban Ocon. A couple of tenths down on Lewis Hamilton on the last tour. The fact that Verstappen may well catch Leclerc probably signals that it wasn't going to work out for him. But of course, when they all jump out of the way, they give Max an easy ride to go and chase Charles Leclerc as well. Whereas when there's DRS trains around...
There's your man ahead of you. Gap at 21.9. Let's go. That's why we come racing.
There we go. All the incentive we need for Max. 5 laps. We're expecting him to get there.
Asked at the start of the weekend whether he thought Max Verstappen could win the World Championship. He said he'd be very surprised if he did. It is a huge amount of points he's trying to overturn. I wonder if he thought a few laps ago that he would play a part in it. Can Verstappen take more points out of Piastri? Lando Norris continues to lead out front by a mammoth margin. By modern Formula One standards, it's 27.3 seconds at the moment on the day that Norris is chasing his 10th Grand Prix victory. And you have to say, in terms of the season, one that would be seminal.
Still charging towards Charles Leclerc. And I think the softs are where there's 12 laps to go. With the rate that he's approaching, I think they're going to hang on. Has Leclerc got anything more to respond in his medium shod Ferrari? He did say a while ago that this is it in terms of pace. This is all I've got. The mediums haven't looked that quick. If the softs are hanging on, you think the mediums should hang on. But